record on this computer. And let's go to Humble Bundle. See what we have. Let's see. Previous months. I got 5 to see more previous months. Let's go. Eight choices remain. Oh, I haven't gone to October. Let's go back to October.
Do you have all these games from the Humble Bundle, the monthly thing?
Yes.
Ah, gotcha.
Jess, send me a. Yeah, Jess already got you. Sorry. Try again. Try again Monday. Jess, send me a private message in chat with the email address you would like to receive a game. Would you prefer? Let's see. Would you prefer cute or strategy?
Strategy.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, sure. I'm never going to play that. Gift to a friend. Send an email. Control V. Send email. You are now the proud owner of Tropico 6 El Prez edition.
Thank you.
I'm not sure why they keep making Tropicos. Well, I guess money, but
pretty much.
You know, how is this different from the previous 5? I have no idea. And I let's see, do I have Tropico of any sort on Steam? I'm curious. Let's go to not software, but games. Do I have a Tropico? How many Tropicos do I own? I will confess that I have never played a Tropico game. Trine? Nope. I do not own a Tropico on Steam. What's Truberbrook? Truberbrook. See, this is what happens. I get caught up. When we submit the sheet, do we just need one person to do it, or should it be both people in the group? Sean, you can submit one, and it should be good for both people. So all 6 characters, all group things should be, and honestly, if it doesn't work, it's because I screwed something up with setting up the groups. It usually works, but every once in a while I forget to set the groups right, and then I basically it becomes a mess, because then I have to I usually grade whoever it is who submitted it, and then I go find the other people in the group and give them a grade, even though it says this person. I get a big flashing, this person has not submitted an assignment, and I'm like, yes they have, whatever. It says submit for everyone in the group. Thank you, Gabe. Can confirm it does work for this assignment. Thank you. Okay. Lots to do, so let's get some business out of the way first. Monday, the DMs are going to play Dungeons and Dragons. Just letting you know. Okay, cool. the DMs are going to play. I usually block out 6 to 11. And some years, depends on the group, some years it goes till midnight because they're kooky and want to do wacky things. But Andrew says, oh, by the way, Andrew is DMing for the 3 p.m. and McKenna is DMing for this group, or at least this group of DMs. Andrew thinks can't go past 3 hours. And I'm like, I bet it can. I bet it can. So, I would, McKenna, it's up to you. What I want is on Tuesday, all the DMs have played the adventure. So I always do it Monday night because I want my weekends. But if you want to play on Sunday, whatever, I don't care. Feel free. So what I need are 5 dungeon masters before everybody starts going nuts. You need to be available Monday night for McKenna to run you through this. And then at the end of that session, she will give you a copy of the adventure. And sometime next week, well, actually, then on Tuesday, we will assign each dungeon master a group, which in this case, each dungeon master will get 4 people from the rest of the class. And sometime before a week from Monday, anytime next week, you get together with your group and you play. Sounds simple. The hard part is getting together with the group. And if you want to play, 2 sessions that are 2 hours long, or 1 big session on Saturday afternoon, however you want to do it. In the past, this has run into Easter. I don't know. Is next weekend Easter?
Easter.
Anybody know? What?
This weekend is Easter.
This weekend is Easter. Okay.
I know because I have to do slides for my church for
Okay.
all 5 services. Yay!
So and in the other thing we've run into is Greek Easter, which apparently is different from Easter. I don't know. So but hey, we're virtual now. So if people are home, as long as you're not playing on probably Sunday morning or afternoon, you should be okay. But that's this weekend and it's just DMs, right? So you take care of that, McKenna. Okay. So I need 5 people who can play on Monday night and who want to DM. If you are one of those 5 people, put your hand up in the Zoom, or I don't know, make the little clappy things. No, I got 1. No one. Uh-oh. When you want to DM but you're busy Monday night. I just got 1. Okay. If
It was like 4 the other day. What happened?
well, yeah, I don't know where everybody.
Anyone here available Sunday night?
I'm
I
available.
could do Sunday night.
Is that okay with you, McKenna?
I'm okay with Sunday night. Are you
Sunday
available
night,
Sunday
I'm
night,
fine
DMs.
Anthony?
with Sunday night. Yeah, I'm fine with Sunday night.
Okay. Put up your hand
I
if
can
you're
do-
available Sunday night and can DM. Now I got
Aaron wants to
3. I need 2 more. Now, people who have never DM'd before, but have played Dungeons and Dragons before, and are DM curious and maybe want to stick their toes in and want to play on Sunday night. Anybody? Come on. I got 4. Anybody who has GM'd or run a different system, never done D&D 5 before, and is 5th edition curious. I got 5. Woo, woo, woo. Okay.
Therein lies the hardest part of Dungeons and Dragons, actually figuring out when everyone's available.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have a
This is
session
unfortunately relatable.
that I'm supposed to do every Wednesday, and for the past 3 weeks we've had trouble meeting up on Wednesdays.
Right.
Yep.
I just
Right.
finished
Oh,
having
yeah.
a conversation with my D&D group where all of us were like, we available on Friday and tonight? We're available tonight. And then our DM was like, sorry, my sister's birthday party is tonight. And I just found out. I'm like, gosh darn
Oh,
it.
God.
Just did they not know when their sister's birthday is? Like,
I don't know.
it feels like it's avoidable.
Okay. So all of my DMs, can you please privately chat me your email address? An email, and I don't care what email address, just an email address where I can get information to you about this. Okay, I got one copy. And basically, I'm emailing these to you, McKenna. McKenna will email you a PDF with the pre-gen characters. Pick a pre-gen character that you want to play, and announce it to the group. Say, I want to play Bob the Cleric. And Bob the Cleric is yours. I always say first come, first served. I think there are 6 total characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 5. Home. So one of them is going to go unplayed, which is fine. Here are the DMs. Then once you get your PDF, once you get your character, no, there it is. Okay, subject D&D 4 p.m. There we go. Okay, sent. So once you get your characters, you should also log into, or if you don't have an account already, get an account to roll20.net. That's roll ROLL 20, the number 2 and the number 0.net. And McKenna will share the game with you. We'll invite you to the game on Roll20. At which point, you will have a PDF of your character, but you need to copy the information from that PDF to a character sheet that is available in Roll20. And trust me, doing this ahead of time will make playing online so much easier, because when McKenna says roll a stealth check, you just click stealth and it rolls the appropriate thing and adds the appropriate numbers, and you don't have to go, where is that again? What's going on? It also, by entering all that stuff, gets you a little bit familiar with the character that you've chosen. Okay. In fact, everybody's going to have to do this next week. I haven't put up the assignment yet because I don't want to confuse people with the character sheets that are due tonight at midnight that are just writing, and the character sheets for D&D, which are numbers and stats. right? But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to put it all into Roll20 and you're going to take a screenshot of that and submit it for, I don't know, 4 points, something, just so that I know that you did it, right? And again, I'm not going to be a stickler for, oh, he got the number on his hide and shadows wrong. I just want to see that you've done it, so that when it comes time to play, you've got a character in Roll20. Okay. It will also help McKenna out a whole bunch to have all that in the game on Roll20. It helps DMing a bunch.
And what does that do?
It's an online character sheet. So it will do all the roll, as long as you find the right stat and click on it, it will do all the math for you. It will also allow McKenna to see your character sheet if she ever needs to see your character sheet, and she doesn't have to go looking up PDFs. And it will get you some familiarity with the character that you're playing.
And by when do we have to do that?
Are you a DM?
No.
Don't worry about it until next week. It'll be fine.
Cool.
You have to do it by the time you play D&D, basically. But you don't even have a DM yet. Okay. So, anything else? McKenna needs to send that stuff out. And then after you play, McKenna will send you a PDF of the adventure and share a copy of the game on Roll20 so that you can then run it for other people on Roll20. If you hate Roll20 or whatever, you still have to set up a Zoom, or you could play on Discord. I don't care. Or your favorite meeting software. I love Microsoft Teams more than anything, right? No, whatever. I'm gonna lower everybody's hand now. Ba-bam, 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 ba-bam. Okay. So that's the business we had to do to get that set up. And now I've lost my page. Booger shoes. Story plot. No. Here we go. Summary. No. Here we are. Okay. Hero's Journey. If nothing else, if you learn nothing else this term, you should be familiar with the Hero's Journey. You probably have some familiarity with it already. If you have consumed any kind of modern media, you absolutely have seen Hero's Journey stories. Whether that's any of the Star Wars movies or any of the Marvel movies, or I want to point out that it's not just action adventure. Romantic comedies basically adhere to the Hero's Journey template. The Hero's Journey was I don't want to say discovered, but I guess classified by an academic named Joseph Campbell. And he wrote a book called Hero with a Thousand Faces. He was a professor of comparative religions and mythology. And basically one of the things he did, or the lasting thing that he did, was travel the world and collect as many myths and legends and stories as he possibly could. One man's myth is another man's religion, right? So what he found in collecting all those things is that they had similar what we would call story beats, that hugely disparate cultures had very similar stories. And he called this the hero's journey. And it took place in Native American folklore and ancient Chinese folklore. The journey to the West is a hero's journey. The story of Theseus in ancient Greece is a hero's journey. So he broke it down into 14 steps, or 14 story beats, right? That they not all heroes' journeys had all 14. I am going to present them to you in a particular order. They don't necessarily have to be in this order. They can be rearranged around. Heroes don't have to be white dudes with grizzled half beards. They can be animals. They can be anyone, right? In fact, the hero that goes on a journey in the new Star Wars trilogy is Rey, right? So think outside the box when you're looking at your characters. You will all have 6 characters as of midnight tonight, and say, well, maybe my hero doesn't need to be the human being. Maybe my hero is a jar of Snapple, and what journey would a jar of Snapple go on, right? So okay, let's get going. I've already covered some of this stuff. I am going to share screen. Give me a whiteboard. Share. I'm going to go to text. And just like I said, in 3-act structure, we start with the ordinary world. This sets normal. This sets tone in sound things. This says this is the 0 point, right? This is where everything starts. This is where hopefully we end, or at least the hero always wants to get back to the ordinary world. Never happens. Heroes grow and change. And what we see over and over again is that when they get back to the ordinary world, they can no longer be a part of the ordinary world because they have changed immensely, and they are not they are not the same person they were when they started, right? So that's that growth and change. In Witness, the ordinary world is the Amish funeral. In Star Wars, it's constant war. It's the Star Destroyer attacking the Rebel cruiser. In Lord of the Rings, it's Hobbiton, right? And Bilbo's birthday. Then number 2 is where it all starts, which is the call to adventure. And this can be a literal call, as in, hey, come with me, let me show you something. Or it can be there's a problem that needs solving, and the hero is the only one who can possibly solve it. In any case, it begins the journey. So in Witness, the call to adventure is actually there's a murder, and we don't actually see the call to adventure for John Book in Witness. We assume that he got a call to come and investigate this murder, right? Then there is the refusal of the call. This is when the hero says, I don't want to do this. No, I couldn't possibly. In Witness, it's when John Book says there isn't going to be a trial. This is over. And he tries to drive away. And he literally collapses before he can refuse the call. And he gets pulled into Amish land. Oh, by the way, what's the call to adventure in Star Wars? 1977 Star Wars.
R2 showing Luke the hologram from Leia.
Absolutely. Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm not you can't see. So I spent half a meeting today showing off my lightsabers. And that's not a euphemism. I have actual lightsabers here. But I don't have time in this class. One of these classes I'll show you my lightsabers. I was actually at another I was at another one of these writing seminars given by Pixar writer, wrote like 3 Pixar films, right? And we're in the middle of this and he's talking about the inciting incident, and somebody raises their hand and says, what was the inciting incident? What was the call to adventure in Star Wars? And he's like, I'd have to think about that. And I've been teaching this class for a while, right? And I just went, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope, right? And I didn't mean to say it. It was one of those things where you say something quietly, but the room has gotten much more quiet than it has been up until then. And suddenly everybody hears. And the guy was like, what? And I'm like, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. That's the call to adventure. And he's like, oh, I'm not sure that's the call to. And I'm like, every screenwriting book in the world says it is. It is definitely the call to adventures. It's I give the guy some credit. He was on the spot. He hadn't thought of it before. He's dealing with Pixar stuff. And he didn't want to commit to any particular thing and be wrong. He didn't say it wasn't. He just said he wasn't sure. And in Star Wars, Luke says, I can't possibly go to Alderaan. I got to deliver these power converters to Tashi Station, right? He doesn't want to go. Moving on. Of course, he ends up going, right? For meeting with the mentor. And the mentor is the second of our archetypal or our typical I can't, it's one of those words I read all the time and can't say. Archetypal. I think it's archetypal. Characters, archetypes. They're an archetype. A mentor. A mentor is the person who teaches the hero the skills they need in order to succeed. Right? So, in Witness, we've got a sharing of the mentorship. Usually mentors are old guys with beards for some reason. Obi-Wan is obviously the mentor in Star Wars. Gandalf is obviously the mentor in Lord of the Rings. In Witness, everybody goes straight to Eli because he's the old guy with the beard, right? And he does teach Book how to milk a cow. We've got that, but that's not really a skill that Book needs to succeed. The interesting thing, the one who shows Book around the farm is Samuel. Little Samuel saying, "Oh, look, here's this well that it turns the wheel. Look at my kittens. This is how you hold a kitten. Look at the cows. Look at this corn thing. This is the silo. It's echoey. What's up there? Oh, it's just corn up there. Don't worry about that." But Samuel's the guy who gives Book all the skills around the farm that he needs to succeed in the final battle. I'll give Eli a little bit of mentorship in teaching Book about the ways of the Amish, right? Because that is our journey, is to become more Amish. What I see over and over again in this next assignment that you're about to do is when you write the mentor, your mentor or your intended mentor doesn't teach the hero any skills. They meet the old guy with the beard, or the ancient tree, or the blue whale with the beard, and because mentors got to have a beard. I'm joking. Please make a mentor who's not an old guy with a beard. They get to this mentor, and the mentor says, "Oh, the big bad evil guy is at the top of Doom Mountain. You should go that way." That's not a mentor. That's a signpost, right? Unless the mentor teaches the hero something they need to succeed, they're not a mentor. They're just another character that they meet along the way. So that's what I'm looking for when we get to the mentor. Okay. Moving on. 5 is meeting with the mentor, crossing the threshold. This is the end of Act 1. Think about this. It's there are 14 steps in the hero's journey, and the first 5 are theoretically in Act 1. That's not to say they have to be. You can mix them around. The mentor, we could not meet the mentor until Act 2. It's perfectly fine. Usually you have to have a call to adventure before you can refuse it. Unless, I don't know, it's a Doctor Who episode or something. Also, I think I said this before, but please, keep your characters and your stories original. Please just don't retell other people's characters and stories. So please don't write a Doctor Who adventure. Play in your own worlds. So this is when the hero realizes they have to go on the journey, that there's no way back. We've already identified this in Witness when he collapses and crashes into the bird feeder. In Star Wars, he can't go home because home is a smoking hole in the ground. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru don't come out so well, and he has to go to Alderaan with Obi-Wan. I also want to point out that all of these can be not action adventure again. So in a romantic comedy, a call to adventure is seeing the object of their affection. Refusal of the call is saying, I have no room in my life for a relationship, or even going on a date or meeting with them and it going terribly, terribly badly. They hate each other, because we know that if a couple hates each other in the first act, they will be together in the third act. That's the way romantic comedies work. Mentors can be friends who school them in the ways of love, or even how to dress, or kind of converting them into being a successful relationship person. So moving on, 6. Um, Crossing the threshold. Then the hilarious thing is most of Act 2 is contained in one beat, which is tests, allies, and enemies. Tests are all the obstacles that the hero has to overcome, and we build tension with harder and harder obstacles. Allies is another archetype. These are sidekicks. Luke meets Chewie and Han. In Witness, we meet Daniel, who actually helps him drink lemonade like an Amish person, and build a barn. He meets all of the elders of the Amish. And he certainly has his old partner who's a sidekick. Sidekicks are in every Disney movie ever, are there for comedic relief. They're the funny ones. Quite often sidekicks get killed along with mentors, because essentially once a mentor has taught the skills, we don't need the mentor anymore. So either the hero leaves the mentor behind, or the mentor gets killed. That happens in Lord of the Rings. Gandalf falls in Moria. He comes back. Spoilers. Obi-Wan becomes more powerful than Vader ever imagines. And lots of times we get a sidekick who dies because, in order to up the stakes for the hero, so that the hero is now, this time it's personal, rah, right? You killed my friend. A lot of times heroes get their significant others killed. That's a trope called fridging, where you basically kill a woman in order to deepen a hero, a grizzled white hero. And it's generally frowned upon. Not frowned, it's hacky. It's hacky. And it's based on a comic book. There was a DC hero called Ralph Dibny. He was happily married. It was the longest running relationship in comic books. Up until then, this relationship had been going on for like 40 years. And it's mainly because they were minor characters, because comic books are soap operas, let's face it. And the way comic books work is people fall in love, fall out of love. They break up, they get together with different people. It's a soap opera. But Ralph Dibny and his wife just were the mom and dad of the Justice League. He was Elongated Man, I think, or Plastic Man. He was the stretchy guy. And at the beginning, this was a gritty reboot. Elongated Man. Thank you, Eli. He at the beginning of this new arc, I don't know, probably 15 years ago now. They killed his wife. Somebody killed his wife, and he comes home and his wife is missing, and he opens the fridge and his dead wife's body is in the fridge. Everybody comes back to life in comic books. So everybody always dies. How many times has Jean Grey died, right? So
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many is the answer.
I think there's a website called isjeangreydead.com or org. And it either says yes or no, depending on when whether Jean Grey is currently dead or alive. So we've got sidekicks, and we finally meet the villain, the enemies. Who are the bad guys in all of this? And this is the other big archetype. Although lots of stories, the villain is not a person. It's maybe a natural force, right? It might be the hero himself or herself. Okay, moving on because I'm running out of time. 7. And I'm not. For some reason, our book divides this one up into 6A, B, and C. I'm just going to keep going. Meeting with the goddess. The goddess reminds our hero why they are doing this journey, why they have taken on this great responsibility. The goddess is spiritual. It's usually at a low point. The hero has had a setback, and the goddess says, and is thinking about giving up the journey. And the goddess says, "Hey, if you give up the journey, horrible things will happen." In Lord of the Rings, the goddess is Galadriel. She shows Frodo that the Shire will turn into an industrial wasteland run by orcs, or America, apparently. And joke, in Star Wars, the goddess is Leia, although there's much less of the spiritual stuff with her. She's very, very practical. In later movies, she gets much more spiritual and oogie boogie. The other thing the goddess does is give gifts, generally to everyone on the journey. So Leia gives Han and Chewie the riches that they need to clear their name with Jabba. She gives Luke an X-wing and a chance to be a pilot. Galadriel gives everybody cloaks and hair and knives and a bottle of water. In Witness, Rachel is the goddess more so than anyone else. She gives lemonade. She gives the feast at the barn raising, and she keeps reminding Book of that of what is available to him. The family and love are possibilities for him if he embraces the Amish way, right? So once again, look over the goddess when you get to the goddess, and make sure that your goddess does the things that goddesses do, and doesn't just say, "Hey, perk up, everybody. You got to keep going." Okay. And atonement with the Father. This one is usually ignored in modern media. We have it in Witness. Even though John Book has brought the evil outside world to the world of the Amish, at the end, Eli tells him, "Be careful out among them English," right? Eli forgives and accepts John Book. And part of that is because John Book decides to leave. I think if John Book decided to stay, there would have been a very different atonement with the Father. We don't really have one in Star Wars, aside from when Obi-Wan says, "Use the Force, Luke," and Luke turns off his thing. We don't even know who the father is yet in the first Star Wars, right? We don't get to the real atonement with the father until Jedi, right? Unless you're a German speaker and then you just say, "Oh, his name's Vader." Oh, Vader is father in German. Wow, somebody really worked hard on that one. So moving on to the moment, I'm running out of time. 9. Atonement with the father. Approaching the cave. This is usually the night before the ordeal, or we know this big horrible thing is going to happen, and we make our peace with each other and with our lives. So, for instance, in that last season of Game of Thrones, there was an entire episode before the big zombie battle at Winterfell where everybody is at Winterfell. Like half the cast, more than half the cast, are in Winterfell, and they're all drinking in various rooms around Winterfell and talking about how they got here and what this all means. It was almost like a clip show. There's a very famous Henry V, Shakespeare. He's supposed to be a good writer, I'm told. In Henry V, before the big Battle of Agincourt, where they are outnumbered and outgunned, Henry himself puts on a cloak, disguises himself as a regular soldier, and just wanders the camp, getting the mood of his troops, and it turns out they're all with him. Yes, we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. That's the stirring speech. St. Crispin's Day. I've got a story about that, but I don't have time to tell you. It's the let's gather ourselves before our final thing. The funny thing is, the approaching the cave in Witness is not on Book's part. It's on the three bad guys. That early morning thing where the car comes up and then rolls back, and then they all get out of the car and get their guns. That's all approaching the cave, because they're about to go in for the ordeal, and nobody ever thinks about the bad guys are going in for the big last fight at the same time as the good guys. Okay, moving on. 10 period is the ordeal, and this is Act 3, essentially. This is the big fight at the end. This is in a romantic comedy, somewhere at the end of Act 1, at the end of Act 2, the relationship has come to an end. One of them has screwed up terribly and lost love, and this is when they come back and they put everything on the table and they say, "I don't care what happens, I love you, I love you, I love you." And then they either get rejected or accepted. The very famous ordeal in romantic comedy that I think is a great example is in Jerry Maguire, which is now an old movie and none of you have seen it, but please go see Jerry Maguire. Tom Cruise, Renee Zellweger, Cuba Gooding Jr. in an Academy Award winning performance. Jerry Maguire comes into, he's lost his wife. He married Renee Zellweger and he's lost her. The relationship is over, and she's in this therapy group of recently divorced women. And so her living room is just full of really pissed off divorced women. And Tom Cruise comes into the middle of it and makes his pitch, essentially. and says this whole big stirring speech, and either gets Renee or doesn't, but you can figure it out. And if I guarantee you, you've seen the clip a billion times in various Academy Awards and shows of her response. But it's a great ordeal that is just basically a stirring speech. We're more used to big battles. Obviously, in Witness, it's the whole farm fight. In Star Wars, it's the Death Star space fight. In Lord of the Rings, well, it depends on which one we're talking about. They actually had to put one in at the end of I mean, it's in there in the books, but it's not such a big deal. When Boromir gets killed, oh, spoilers. Anyway, moving on. 11 is the return home, or the journey back, right? What does he call it? Oh no, it's the reward. Sorry. It's what you get. So I fought the big bad, and now the land is saved, and now I gave the stirring speech, and now I get love. I closed the rift. That's always a good one, when you close the rift and the chthonic monsters don't come through. Whatever it is, that's after the ordeal. Sometimes it's a whole different beat. Sometimes it's the same. When you kill the Foozle, you get the reward. Sometimes you have to do some other steps. And now is the journey home. You'll recall in this our excitement over time, our rising action, our denouement. So here's our climax, which is the ordeal and the reward. Sometimes the reward is right here. Very few modern Hollywood movies bother with the journey home. When we're done, it's over, get out, roll credits, send them all home so we can get the next people in. The exception to this rule, the modern exception, which is now 20 years old, is the Return of the King, which has 11 separate endings. There are lots of endings. It revels in its denouement. We've got the Eagles are here. We've got let's bounce on the bed and be happy to see each other. We've got the crowning of the king and the respect to the hobbits. We've got the gray fleet. What are the gray things? They all get on a boat and sail west. And then we've got
Grey
Sam and
Havens.
his
Grey
Grey Havens. Thank you. And if you count them, there are 11 of them. And everybody busts on Return of the King because it just never ends. 13 is the resurrection. We thought the bad guy was dead, but oh God, he's not. He's back. And we don't really have a resurrection in Witness. Once the bad guy is defeated, he's defeated. But in the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, this is famously left out from the movie. We thought Saruman was dead, but he's not. He ran off to the Shire and enslaved the Shire, and now we've got to go kill or take care of Saruman again. We see this a lot in horror movies where we have finally killed the big bad, and and then we're home, we're out of the environment entirely, and the mass murderer guy, Freddy, Jason, whatever, jumps through a window and kills one last person. Yes, the Scouring of the Shire. And finally, the elixir. This is the last thing. This is what you were going for all along. This is restoring the ordinary world, whether there was whatever was threatening it. The usual thing is mom or dad are sick, and you've now got the magic potion that will cure them. Okay, I'm way over time. I gotta get the assignment talked about. So let's talk about the assignment. Let's share a different screen share. This is due Monday at midnight. So now you've got 6 characters by midnight tonight. Take the weekend, work with your partner, and write a story. Of your 6 partners, we've got 5 roles to cast. One of your 6 characters is a hero, one's a sidekick, one's a mentor, one's a goddess, one's a villain. That's 5. That 6th character, you can toss them. You can give the villain a sidekick. You can make 2 sidekicks. Whatever you want to do with them. You can also, this is a question I get a lot. You can add more characters if you need to. It's fine. I just need these 5. These 5 have to be in the story. You must use at least 6 of the 12 steps of the hero's journey template. Honestly, that's not hard. Could a character fill multiple roles? Both mentor and goddess. It has been tried. I would say for this exercise, keep them separate. Use 2 different characters. You've got 6, use 5. Because honestly, I'm going to be reading these and trying to figure out who the mentor is and who the goddess is. And if they're both, that's going to confuse the hell out of me, and you won't, and I'll mark you down. Sorry. So keep it clear, keep it straight. This is basically trying to color in the lines, right? So if you're blurring the lines, then the whole point of this exercise is to show that you can tell this kind of story by the rules of this kind of story, right? So if you just do a sidekick, a mentor, a goddess, and a villain, well, meeting the mentor is one of those. Meeting the goddess is another one, is another beat. And then tests enemies and allies is a third beat that'll give you both the sidekick and the villain. So that's 3 right there. So you're already halfway to the requirement of 6. Remember, they don't all have to be in there, just 6. And they don't have to be in the order that they are in the book. Also, the story must be no more than 5 pages long, double spaced. It must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So if you have 5 pages, the goddess can come in towards the end. Yes, Gabe. If you have 5 pages, going by 3-act structure, 5 pages, that means the end of Act 1 should be at around 1.25 pages in. If you're on page 4 and you just got to crossing the threshold, you are writing too long, because you got 1 page left to do the rest of the story and you just crossed the threshold. So first act should be 1.25 pages long. Second act should be 2.5 pages long. And third act should be 1.25 pages long. And, you know, I'm not going to measure each page. But if I get to page 3 and you're still talking about the ordinary world, I'm going to say this is way too long for the ordinary world. right? Plan it out. What are our beats? What are we going to hit? How are we going to do this? And the big thing is write it with your partner. Do some sort of document sharing, Google Docs, whatever your Outlook, whatever that does. Somehow that one person can tell the story, the other person can type, and then switch, right? I can't tell you how many times it's been one person writes the first 2.5 pages, and then the other person writes the second 2.5 pages, and I'm reading along, and the first 2 pages are beautiful. The pacing is good. The dialogue is snappy. The descriptions are clear. And then I get 2.5 pages done, and suddenly the spelling goes to hell. The grammar is a mess. They've forgotten entire characters, and other characters are acting in ways that it didn't seem like they would. And it's clear to me that one person wrote the first half and the other person wrote the second half. You should both write the whole thing. Be there with each other every step of the way. Also, revise, make it good. Okay. I'm giving you these parameters to not only make it so that I can get them all graded within a reasonable amount of time, because if you all put in 20-page stories, I'm going to die. Well, McKenna's going to die. But because constraints breed creativity. So, be creative, and be proud of it. Write something that you think is good. The biggest excuse I see from writers all the time are, this is terrible, but here you go. I don't want to read that, right? I don't want to read. If you think it's terrible, why should I think it's not terrible? Say, this is my best. I gave my best. Read it. Hope you enjoy it, right? So that is due on Monday at midnight, so you should work on it over the weekend. Okay. Any other questions? I am way over time. You can catch us on Discord, or you can send me an email, but probably Discord's better over the weekend. Because that's at least on one of my screens, and I try not to get bogged down in reading email during the weekend. So thank you all for coming. I'm sorry I'm packing so much into 50 minutes, but this is kind of front loaded. The whole class is front loaded. And I try and get you all the information as quickly as possible, and then we practice it over and over and over again. And that's how you learn, right? Okay, so let's stop the share. And remember this: your writing partner is the same as your 6 characters writing partner. They are 6 characters in search of 2 authors. So have a great weekend. And I will see y'all on Monday.